Hey, what is up, my guys? I hope you all are doing very, very well. If you are new to the channel, hello and welcome. My name is Grubs and I make Eternal Return content geared mostly towards new players, and that is exactly what this video is all about. This video is for the players that have just installed and they have no idea what the basics are. Maybe they ran through the tutorial and they kind of have an idea, but going from the tutorial into 15 bot games is not exactly the most intuitive thing, right? Like, it's very hard to go from those bot games to a full-fledged game where the pace is completely different and your bots are kind of like wet cardboard, and it's very hard to understand what a real game is supposed to be like. So I'm gonna do my best to break down what I can, and it's just gonna be the basics of gameplay. I'm not gonna go into like cooking or all the other stuff. We're literally just gonna be talking about the core mechanics of Eternal Return, and hopefully this will clear up any frustration or confusion that I've seen some new players having. It's made me very sad to see people come to my videos and say, hey, you know, this is not exactly what I needed. I don't even understand like the bare minimum of this game. I can't even figure out like what am I supposed to do with my build and where am I supposed to go? Don't worry about that. I got you. And hopefully by the end of the video, it will be enough for you to be able to go off into a normal game without any bots there to obstruct your way, and you'll be able to hopefully gain first place in your next battle on Lumia Island. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Let's talk about the basics of Eternal Return. For those that do not even know what Eternal Return is a battle royale with top-down MOBA combat. Your goal is to be the last team standing, which can be easier said than done when it comes to the learning curve and the mechanics of the game. So you're essentially trying to fight other people to find these legendary resources to upgrade your gear, and as the game progresses, zones will turn red. You'll see them turn yellow first to indicate that on the next day to night cycle that they will turn into a red zone, and if you step foot into a red zone, a timer will appear over your head, and if that depletes to 0, you are then dead. Legendary materials that you are looking for are Tree of Life, Meteorite, Mithril, Force Core, and the VF Blood Bag. There's different colors to represent different qualities when it comes to your gear or to things that you pick up, but the only colors that I want you to worry about are going to be purple, gold, and red. And this is going to be in reference to your gear. Your purple gear is what you're going to be crafting when you start the game. You're then going to be spending the rest of your game upgrading your gear to gold, and if you're lucky, eventually to red. You can find these legendary materials from killing mobs, looting other players, grabbing them from boxes, and gathering it from various locations on the map. You can alternatively purchase them from credit kiosks after night 1. Only bears and wolves will have a chance for dropping these legendary materials, so try to prioritize farming them if you can. Your gear, in combination with your character level and mastery level, is how you get strong in Eternal Return. If you wish to see your gear, your teammates' gear, or even your opponent's gear, you can press tab on your keyboard to open up a menu. This will show enemies updated gear and mastery level if you've gained vision of them recently on the map. You should press tab often, especially before engaging in combat if you can, to check on the gear and mastery levels of your opponent. Mastery levels are a passive level that is increased by crafting, looking through boxes, moving through zones, killing mobs, and combat. The more this is leveled up, the more scary your character is. This ensures that you cannot rat or hide all game and still come out on top. The more stuff you do, the stronger you are, so ensure that you're not wasting time idly. Mastery levels can even outweigh the stats that gear can give you, so make sure you're not only keeping an eye on who has what legendary gear, but also how high their mastery levels is. If you die to somebody with only 1 gold, but their mastery level is much higher than yours, then that probably is the reason why you lost. To see where your mastery levels are, you can press V on the keyboard and bring up your mastery menu. Alternatively, if you press tab and look to the right of where your item builds are, you can see where your mastery level is, as well as everybody else's. The best way to avoid falling behind in mastery level is to try to minimize the amount of time you're standing still waiting for timers or objectives. Try to fight often while balancing your time farming mobs. It is in your best interest to learn where the mobs are so that you can path efficiently to clear out an area quickly and then move on to the next objective. To know where people are, keep an eye on your minimap. Next time you build something, watch the minimap, and you can see an exclamation point pop up over your character portrait. This is an indicator that noise occurred in the area, and everyone is notified by the visual mark on their map. When you craft, fight, buy from the kiosk, cook, etc., you make an indicator that reveals your location. So pay attention to these exclamation marks and try to gauge the situation before you move into an area. If there are multiple exclamation marks at once, it could indicate 2 teams fighting each other. It could also be that a team has split up to farm. Both could be ideal situations for your team to move in and be aggressive. To communicate with your teammates quickly, press Alt and drag the mouse. A radio menu will appear and has different messages that you can convey quickly. Alternatively, you can press Control and another set of messages will appear. Remember to use your pings to communicate with your team instead of just going off and following whatever it is that your heart desires. If they don't know what's going on, they may not follow you and you may get caught out. Going over the game pace and the objectives. The early game is day 1 to 2. During this time, you will build your purple gear as quickly as possible. This means you will load into your initial zone, find the required materials by searching boxes, and then go to the next zone as dictated by your chosen loadout. You need to get to a pace of completing your initial purple set of gear before the beginning of night 1. If you aren't that fast at the beginning, that's fine, and to be honest, completely expected. You will get faster as time goes on. If you are spending too long looking for a specific ingredient, then you can right-click the component under the guide that is located on the top right of your screen. This will have a drone drop the item for you at the cost of 30 credits. Alternatively, you can press B and open up a menu that allows you to search for items to purchase with the drones as well. There are also item guides that you can add to your item to-do list on the top right. Legendary materials cannot be purchased from field drones like this, and instead you must go to a credit kiosk in order to purchase them. Your job is to finish your build. You are not to fight anyone, you are not to farm mobs except for leather. You must finish your build. Once your build is done, it is strongly encouraged that you join with your team and make food. It doesn't necessarily need to be in that order, but you need food and you need to group before day 2. It is important to note that while you can respawn indefinitely between day 1 through night 2, if all of your teammates go down in a fight, you are then out of the game. Night 1 is when you're going to group up with your team and farm. Bears will initially spawn during this time and they are a great option for farming. When it comes to optimal locations for farming, I actually have a Google Doc that will be linked below in the description box that you can reference that has different ideas as to where you can farm. As long as you engage in good fights and keep killing mobs pretty efficiently, you should be able to keep your character and mastery level up with everybody else's. Day 2 is when the first objectives spawn for your legendary materials. The consistent spawns would be Tree of Life, and they are located in Cemetery, Temple, and Hotel. Meteorites, however, have an RNG spawn location, so make sure you're checking your map about a minute before the day-night cycle swap so you can position yourself efficiently if that is something that you're trying to go for. If you are positioned badly on the map where you cannot commit to either tree or meteorite, or maybe you don't even want them, you can choose to farm instead. There is one other thing to note though. At the beginning of day 2, everyone's location is visible on the map. So, one idea is for you to position yourself near a jump terminal. The jump terminals are where you can teleport to other areas on the map as well as your other teammates by clicking their portraits in the top right. With everyone's locations being revealed on day 2, you could sit near one of the jump terminals and wait and look on the map. If people are not going towards a certain objective, you could hop to one or even split up your team to try to grab 2 if 2 are being uncontested. This is extremely risky and very greedy, but also an option. Night 2 is when the battle zones and alpha spawn. Battle zones you can team wipe for free and still respawn at the chance of emerging victorious and claiming legendary materials to upgrade your gear. Depending on how many teams are defeated, that is what dictates what item you can claim. If you are the only team, you can claim a tac skill module, a Tree of Life, or a meteorite. If you defeat one other team, then all of that plus a myth will be available as a reward. If more than 2 teams are defeated, a force core will also become available to reclaim. You should always get the most expensive reward for your team, even if it's not best for your personal build. Just because you cannot use it does not mean that it wouldn't help out one of your other teammates. Alpha is a mini-boss-esque creature that will spawn in random locations that will drop mithril and recon drones. There will be 2 spawns of Alpha randomly on the map. Sometimes battle zones will finish up early and you can make it to Alpha if you choose to participate in a battle zone. Sometimes Alpha will be gone before the battle zones are finished. It is up to you and your team as to whether or not you choose to pursue a battle zone or Alpha, or sometimes even both. Either way, you want to try to aim for 2 or more golds by the end of night 2 on your carry and at least 1 gold minimum on other roles. Day 3 to 4 is the mid-game. This is when you are finishing your builds and looking for zone dominance. What I mean by zone dominance is essentially gatekeeping an area so that you can create a route to farm while defeating other enemies that get into your zone. You will easily engage in combat while still keeping up with your money/levels by doing this. I find this most beneficial so that players don't wander aimlessly around the map, and by creating a safe zone, you are less likely to be jumped by a random team hiding somewhere. These zones should encompass at least 3 areas. The first reason why is for the mob cooldowns. By the time you are done with your last zone out of the 3, the first zone's mobs will be back up again. The second reasons would be the CCTV timers. The CCTVs are only active for 90 seconds, so by the time that you're done with your zone, you should be able to walk back to the first zone CCTV and reactivate it again, therefore giving you vision over all 3 zones while you are farming through the different areas. Day 3 is also when you can no longer respawn for free. To purchase a teammate back, you and the teammate you are trying to revive need to have at least 250 credits combined. To buy them back, you go to a credit kiosk and click their character portraits on the bottom left to revive them. Blue portraits means that you have enough money. Red means that you do not have enough credits or they are still on the ground not available to buy back yet. Day 3 is also when the next round of Tree of Life and Meteorites spawn. Trees spawn in forests and stream. Meteorite is again RNG on spawn location. You can either choose to go for the legendary objectives or attempt to establish zone dominance early in hopes that mobs will drop legendary materials for you. The RNG of mobs dropping legendary materials seems to go up as the game progresses, so farming is absolutely a viable option well into the late game. Night 3 is when Omega spawns, and unlike Alpha, only one will spawn at a location. Omega will drop a Force Core and EMP drones. Sometimes Omega is contested, sometimes he is not. It is up to you as to whether or not you wish to go after Omega. Night 3 is also the first opportunity to purchase VF Blood from the kiosk if you are ahead enough to do so. You are not going to have a full gear set full of red materials, it's just not going to happen. Instead, you want to prioritize your weapon or even some of your other gear in order for you to get ahead and do maximum damage. Day 4 to 6 is late game and when you should be finished with your build. If you are finished with your build, your goal is to hit level 20. 20 is max level and you should really try to get as close as possible to it for the final fight. You should also be saving up money for VF Blood as it can provide you with blood gear, which is the best gear in the game. Depending on your augments, it is either 475 or 500 credits to purchase from a credits kiosk. Night 4 is when wickeline spawns. Wickeline is the biggest, baddest mob in the game. She is usually highly contested. Not only does she buff your team when you slay her, but you also can get a legendary material from her as well as the coveted VF Blood Bag. The buff will run out before the final 2 save zones on day 6, so ensure that you use the buff wisely. After day 5, you cannot buy your teammates back. If you go down for the count, you are done. If you find yourself alone with no teammates left and there are more than 2 teams, and it is before you are sanctioned to the final 2 battle zones, you can attempt to escape using a rootkit. You can purchase these from the credits kiosk for 200 credits. You then need to go to a jump terminal and teleport to a zone that is only available with the rootkit, located near the dock on the map. When attempting to jump to the rootkit location, your character will not do the full jump animation at the jump terminal. This means that you can jump faster, and even if you're being chased, you can still escape by clicking the rootkit location jump on the travel map and you will instantly teleport there. When you spawn at the rootkit location, your teammates will be alive with you, and after a minute you can access the terminal that is located there to escape by submarine. In the event another team also uses a rootkit when you do, you will then fight team versus team to see who can take the submarine to escape. Up to 3 rootkits can be purchased, so up to 3 teams can fight for the right to escape at the same time. As you approach the final days, the safe zones will become more limited. Once you are down to 2 safe areas on the map, they will both turn yellow. The CCTV kiosks locations on each zone are where the 2 smaller safe zones will appear. You must go to them to avoid running out of time on your timer in the red zone. If you are not in the red zone and want to see how much time you have left, simply look under where the day time is on the top of your screen. A number will be there to indicate how much time you have left on your timer. The last 2 zones will effectively act as battle zones in regards to the fact that if you emerge victorious and your teammates have fallen, they will respawn with you. After 2 zones, it will go down to 1, where the final fight will then commence. And if you happen to emerge victorious from that, well then guess what? You have just won a game of Eternal Return. I know that was a lot of information that I kind of spouted out really quickly, but like I said before, I have a link down to a Google document that has everything I just talked about, plus a little bit more, all available there for you to reference if you want to look at it at your own pace. But sometimes hearing things is a little bit easier than reading through a big massive document and getting overwhelmed by that. I also have made a Discord that is specifically for new players just like you. So if you are somebody that is brand new to the game and you are looking for places to go, that might be a viable option. We have people that are new joining all the time. We have veterans there to help you answer questions about the game. I also have created a reference tab that has the document that I made for this video with it, as well as item locations. There is also a character list. It's very, very brief, very rough, but it at least can give you a brief disclosure of every character that is in the game at this point. There's obviously also the official Eternal Return Reddit and Discord, which I will also link down below as additional resources for you. And that is it, my guys. I hope this video has served you well. If you are new, I cannot wait to fight against you on Lumia Island, or possibly even be teamed up with you. If you liked this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. If you want to drop a comment, that is appreciated as well. Especially if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to take the time to read them and get back to you on whatever information I can divulge. If you liked what you saw, please consider hitting that subscribe button, and be sure to check out my other guides and tips for beginner players for Eternal Return. And yeah, that's it. Bye!